Welcome back to the LCS and the Verizon post-game interview. I'm here with TSM Lost after TSM won. And I got to start there, Lost, because I don't think this question's ever been asked on the LCS broadcast. Lost is an interesting name choice for a professional player. A job where your success is predicated on winning, and you went for TSM Lost. What's the origins of the name there? Where did that come from?
I mean, my name was Zero before, and now it's Lost, so it's pretty easy to meme. I mean, there's enough memeing throughout my career that, I'm kind of just used to it at this point, but when you win, it doesn't really take into too much effect.
Okay, well, that's a really great point, because you guys are now all of a sudden smashing. This weekend was incredible. What happened? Where was the turnaround for you guys?
I think it was a combination of, our drafts got a lot more, in sync with, how the players wanted to play. And then I think overall we're just playing better, and, feels like something clicked a little bit, at least for this week in particular. So I'm really happy with the way we played this week, and, we showed up and win 3-0.
Well, within that, we began a conversation on Countdown at the beginning of the week when you guys were sitting at a 1-2 record coming into the week around TSM's ultimate power level, and whether or not that record lied to us about where you guys were. How do you assess your now 4-2 record? Is this legitimate? Do you feel you're better than that? Have you gotten lucky in a couple wins? Where are you at?
Honestly, we could have it was so easy for us to go 0-4. The two wins we got for our 2-2 record, complete heist, a complete steal on both wins. So honestly, it's pretty hard to judge a team's overall strength, especially if it's only been 2 weeks. And there's going to be so many regular season games for both this split and next split that I think ultimately it just ends up to who improves faster and who clicks better as a team throughout the split, or both at least.
How do you identify improvement then if you're picking up the victories, but like you said, maybe didn't necessarily deserve a couple of those victories? I mean, because you want to feel good about pulling it out. You want to say, all right, well, we clearly did something right. But so often you have to continue to look to improve. So what's been the process for you guys over there at TSM in ultimately determining what areas of your game you need to target?
I think since it's the second week in, a lot of teams, you want to figure out your identity, how your team wants to play. And then obviously on top of that, you have to do strong team fundamentals, just game fundamentals in general that you practice in scrims. It takes a while for all of those things to become for your team to become good at. And, some teams don't even find their, team identity or team style until maybe playoffs or weeks into their season. So improvement is pretty hard to define in general, just team by team. But I think at the same time, you shouldn't write a team off just because their record is really bad. Maybe their games have looked better, or maybe they improve a lot based off 1 week of practice.
I mean, I think that speaks to the kind of the reformatting of the LCS this year, where just because a team is at the back of the pack now doesn't mean that's where they'll be at the end of summer. Final question to you, as you mentioned, time for improvement. You and SwordArt as a duo, a couple months in now, you've had a bit of time to gel. How are you feeling about the way you guys are warming into the league? Because a couple weeks ago, there was a big conversation around top bot lanes in the LCS, and there were 3 specifically that people were looking at: 100 Thieves, C9, TL. Well, when does your bot lane become a part of that conversation, or should you be there already?
Well, we just played TL, and you can make the decision after we play 100 Thieves and C9, I guess. And that's
all right.
That's the only way to see it. You just got to show up, right?
Letting the play speak for itself. I love it. I love to hear that. Well, Lost, as we toss it back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the LCS and the Verizon post-game interview. Here with Soligo, hot off their victory over EG. But let's be honest, Soligo, this one was a little wild. Got a little out of hand there in the mid-game, but you guys are able to pull it together. So walk me through it. How did this one ultimately come together as a victory for you guys?
Well, at least for our team, I think this was the first game that me, Neo, and Fakeout were put in a position where we were just constantly fighting, and it was just chaotic throughout the entire game. And I think a lot of credit should go to Dardoch and Aframu and how they were consistently able to get us on the same page, even though the game was really chaotic.
I love that you call those two guys out. There's some very clear definition in the Dignitas roster where you've got two guys like Dardoch and Aframu who have been on the LCS stage, have played under all kinds of different, moments of tension, different organizations, and different styles, of strategy ultimately when it comes to winning. So what's that like for you in the learning process and for your own development to have a player like Dardoch who seems to just warp the game? When he's in the game, it feels like it's a different game of League of Legends.
Yeah, so with Dardoch on the team, especially since he's also a jungler who brings a lot of unique picks to the table, it's very easy to just ask him questions and ask him how he wants to play the game with whatever he's playing, and then just go from there. And the job for us rookies is kind of just to listen and to learn as we go along and then play as a team.
Well, on the topic of learning and development, I have a curiosity when it comes to mid laners, specifically this year with the departure of Bjergsen and some, opening up in the conversation of top-tier mid laners and ultimately what the landscape will look like in North America over the coming years. Where do you feel you fit in? What's the goal for you this year as an individual? What kind of a mid laner do you want to be?
It's hard for me to say exactly what kind of mid laner I want to be right now, but I just want to at least be able to show that I'm able to compete with the top mid laners in LCS, and that I'm able to compete there.
Oh, well, I mean, so far you are competing. 4-2 record. Dignitas has quietly landed at 4-2. There's been all this conversation around top teams and comparing to the lock-in results. And here you guys are essentially tied for top 4. And yet Dignitas has been absent from the conversation. So how do you feel about where Dignitas slots into the overall competition of the league this year?
Well, for us, I still think we have a lot of work to do in terms of our gameplay and being able to perform consistently against the top teams. But I think since the beginning of this roster, we've been making a lot of steady progress, and it's only uphill from here.
I mean, we've got no undefeated teams remaining in the LCS. Do you get the sense that this might be one of the closest years that the LCS has ever experienced?
I think definitely for sure. I feel like the top teams aren't as unbeatable as they may have been before with Cloud9 and Team Liquid and stuff. But yeah, it definitely feels like, especially with the current meta too, that any team can win against each other, and I think we'll be able to compete with any of the top teams as well.
That's what I like to hear, man. You've already given us a ton of exciting games and great entertainment just a couple weeks in. As we head back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, Holigo, I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Welcome back to another Verizon post-game interview. I am now joined by Cloud9's Sven. After their victory over FlyQuest, Sven, how you been?
Good. I don't think I had the best week overall, but I'm happy we got away with a 2-1. I think all the games this week were kind of close, and they didn't have to be. So I think 2-1 is a pretty good result considering the level of play we showed this week compared to last week.
All right. What were you mostly unhappy with in that level of play?
I mean, against one of the yesterday, we had level 1 where I lost 3 melee minions level 1, and then I got chunked really hard by Set level 2. He trade flashes, and I got dove by them. And even though they TP with Aatrox, I would die 2v2 on my tower at level 2, so that's pretty bad. In that game, Blabber and Brooks carried me, so I was grateful for that, but it was a messy game, and we ended up winning only because I threw at Baron. It was like a game of throws, essentially, so it feels bad winning that kind of game, because you should have lost, but 2-1 considering all is pretty good. And today I didn't really play bad. I just didn't do anything today. I was just there, right? So.
And talking about today, it was Cloud9 that suffered a few bee stings early in the game. What was the communication like for C9 to make sure FlyQuest couldn't take full control?
I mean, once Luca stopped anything, I think the game was pretty simple. Honestly, early game, I mean, we knew where Grace was. We said, okay, he's going bot crab, we're going top crab. It's very, very normal opening. And it's like, yeah, it's fine, I won't get ganked. And then he gets ganked, dies. He's like, ah, shit. And then he dies again to a dive mid. Actually, I think that was a good play by them. But I think once we got the Herald swap, we got the Herald, and we got top tower, and we got a kill on Aatrox for free. It's kind of nice. And then the game's in this stalemate where you can just farm for free for a while. And then I think our comp kind of outscales.
Yeah.
And then we had one team fight that we won at some point. On Dragon fight, we killed everyone and got Baron. Then the game was over. So it was a little it wasn't super reliable to everyone, but I think it's good that even though we fell behind, we could stabilize the game. So I feel okay with this week.
All right, so I have a question for you next. If you were to give the team a power level right now, 1 through 10, what would it be?
I'd say like 7.5, something like that. I think we could be much better than we are. We have good players in every role, and I think that we're overall a pretty good team right now. We're first place shared with one of the Thieves, right? But I think that we make a lot of mistakes in the games that are very unnecessary. Yesterday, me dying level 1 or level 2, whatever, was unnecessary. Today, Perks died to gank that we know what Grace is the whole time, right? So a lot of these kind of things happen in the games, and it's very easy to clean up. So I think once those things are gone and we have a little bit better drafts, sometimes we will be like a 9 or something like that in relative to any LCS level, right? I think
Perfect.
the level I played this year in LCS is a bit higher than last year, comparing it's week 2 or 3 in terms of games. So I'm happy that Lock-in kind of like got over all the jitters and the early season int games. So I think the Lock-in tournament was good for us personally. We got a lot out of it as a team, so I'm happy.
That's awesome. And I know you spoke a little bit earlier about being a bit unhappy with the performance, but I still got to ask you, since it can creep up on teams with Cloud9 successful so far, how is the team approaching that success to prevent the sometimes, present complacency that follows with it?
Let me think. I think last year we got a little bit complacent when we were winning everything. In Summer Split, it showed really heavily that we were like 9-0 in Summer Split, and then it just went downhill. We won every game in scrims with whatever champion we played, so we lost the read on meta, and we were very slow to adapt. And I think our coaching staff didn't help us through the slump. But this year, I feel like even if we fall into a slump or we get complacent, that Mitty, Veigar, Max Waldo, and Rainover will like pull us out of the hole, I guess, and make sure that we don't get complacent. So I feel like we have a safety net in a way. So I feel very confident that we won't get complacent and lazy this year like we did last year.
Awesome. I'm sure the fans are happy to see it. Sven, it's always a pleasure to talk to you on the way back to the analyst desk. I want to say thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Verizon post-game interview. I am joined by Finn of Counter Logic Gaming as they lock in a win by taking down Golden Guardians. Finn, that game had to feel good for you and the squad. What was the main focus coming in for this one to take down Golden Guardians?
I just think for me this game, I tried to make sure that we always had a good plan. Like we never, I think one of our big problems last weeks and last games have been that we always try to like grab more. We got something and then we like take more, and that's like when we lose it. So I think like today we just took the drumsticks, we didn't take the whole chicken.
That's amazing. So was that a plan coming in? Was it step by step to make sure it was to get the win?
Well, it's not really a plan, right? But I think today we just try to play our game and be calm and don't try to do more than we can, and we should be pretty good because I think like lane to lane, player to player, I think we're all better individually than most other teams. So as long as we don't go crazy, then we should be able to get control and win the game.
It's funny you say that. We saw a bit of that gap this game. Did you happen to see Niles' tweet before the game?
No.
Okay, so Niles said, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Be scared, Finn. I'm about to top gap you."
Oh, well, that's a bit embarrassing. Sorry, Niles. Niles, I don't know. Yeah.
I got to ask you, you've been playing competitively for around 4 or 5 years now. Have you always been a top laner? What draws you to top? You obviously have the aggression in your play style from what we've seen today.
I mean, I think I started playing top around season 6, like when I challenger. I just like the thing that you can be purely isolated 1v1. Just you and the other guy. Doesn't matter what happens on the map. Just you and the other guy just brawling it out. I think that's fun.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. And the final question I got to ask you, now you're in North America, how has it been? We were talking a little bit about the food earlier. Let everybody know.
Yeah, I mean, LA's been great so far. The food is amazing. The weather is very nice compared to Sweden. I left Sweden and it was like negative 10 degrees. And here I came and it's like sun immediately. And yeah, it's been great so far. Can't complain. Solo queue could be better, but you can't have it all.
All right. You hear that, solo queue? Step it up. Come on, let's go. As we head over to the Bud Light breakdown, Finn, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's awesome getting to talk to you for the first time here in NA.
Nice. You too, man.